So this is going to be my Season 2, Episode 1 spoilery review. So if you have not seen the episode yet, I encourage you to turn this off and go watch the episode and then come back. Okay, I'm assuming that if you are still here, you either have seen the episode or you don't care if my ramblings spoil things for you. Off the bat, I give this episode a B plus A minus. I'm not going to do a play-by-play review of the show. I think that's kind of boring. Instead, I'm going to list the top WTF, what the hell moments for me watching it. Coming in at number 10 is Cogline. This one was pretty interesting and honestly not something I saw coming. He is a character from the books. He is introduced first in Witch Song, where he is a crazy old man living in the middle of nowhere with his granddaughter. We find out later in the books that he is actually ancient, a failed druid who didn't trust magic, so he left and decided to study science instead. He left right after they had started creating the druid sleep, which is how all these druids live for so long. So he took that with him, and which is why he was able to survive until far into the future in the books themselves. Number 9 is Amberle. I'm sure all of you guys who are not familiar with the books, but just watch the show, are super excited that she is back. So yeah, she's still around, more or less. I am assuming they've added long-range telepathy to the list of the powers of the Elcrease, which explains her conversation with Eritrea. Also, as we'll see, she later shows up when Will uses the elf stones to hallucinate her. Speaking of Will, number 8 is Will. Mr. McAb's Steamy Pants is not doing well. He finally begins his education with the Stores, the Mayo Clinic of the Four-Lands, but is dealing with some pretty serious PTSD from his battle with the demons and the loss of Amberle. Seeing him use the elf stones to, I am assuming, hallucinate Amberle was really, really weird. At first I thought he was using the stones to actually communicate with her, but since we've already seen her once as the ghost Amberle and she's in the white dress from the end of Season 1, I'm assuming that she isn't actually showing up because she's in her pre-I'm a tree clothes, which are the leather things, which leads me to believe that it wasn't actually her. Number 7 is Mareth. This one is really interesting and could be extremely cool depending on how they handle it. She is another character from the books, but from the prequel First King of Shannara, which deals with Bremen forging the Sword of Shannara and giving it to Geralt Shannara, which is like 500 years before this story. In the book, she is convinced that her father is Bremen, not Allanon, although it makes sense to update that since she is popping up 500 years later in the TV version of the Shannara universe. In the books, she is extremely powerful and possesses innate magic, which is incredibly rare in the books, and how she came by that magic is not very pleasant, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle that in the series. Number 6, the Crimson. It feels like the writers grabbed the magic-hating Federation, a human kingdom in the Southland that appears in the Heritage series, which is the series that begins after the original trilogy, and just made them elves instead of humans, which could be interesting, but feels like a hard sell to me. For a race of beings that used to literally be made of magic to now be leading a crusade to murder anyone that uses magic is just kind of out there. But stranger things have happened. It's interesting that the leader of the Crimson is telling people that will release the Dagdamor and the demons, and not what actually happened. Whether he is intentionally twisting the truth or is himself misled will be revealed in time, I'm sure, but opens up some interesting options. One thing is for sure, they are brutal and efficient. Destroying Shady Vale while looking for Will is pretty hardcore. They seem like the bigger threat at the moment than Bandon. Speaking of Bandon, number 5 is Bandon. While it was obvious that he was going to be one of the main antagonists of this season, it was surprising to see how much more powerful he has become in just a year. Apparently, he has amassed enough new power to stand up to Allanon when he crashes Bandon's ritual. There is some suggestion that the Warlock Lord is speaking to Bandon, which I assume is where he has learned his new magic, or at least received it from him, but we don't really know for sure. Time will tell, I guess. Which leads us to number 4, the state of the elves. At the beginning of the episode, we find out that the elves are basically broke, and as such, haven't been able to really recover from the war with the demons. This seems really odd to me. Like, where did all that money go? You already had a standing army. The demons never really reached the inner gates of Amberle. I am assuming that this plot point will actually be important down the road, but right now I'm at a loss of how they came to this state and why it would be important to the overarching story. But let's move on to number 3, the Wraiths. We get to see a new generation of Wraiths born, and I have to say, other than the Harry Potterness of the way that they fly, very cool all around. I can't wait to see more of them as the season goes on. In the books, the Wraiths were druids who left with Brona and became twisted by the magic of a book called the Ildach. It's a book of magic from the time of Fairy, and later another group of Wraiths came from a group of men who found the book after the Warlock Lord was destroyed and were perverted by its power. Why these guys are interesting is that they are usually on par with Allanon power-wise, and as such are a threat with actual stakes. They are cunning, determined, and powered by malevolent magic. It should be really fun to see what they do with them in this season. Speaking of Allanon, number 2, Allanon. I just want to go on record here and thank Manu Bennett for bringing Allanon to life. Allanon is my all-time favorite character in the Shannara books, and Mr. Bennett has done an amazing job of capturing what was so great about the character. In the books, Allanon is constantly tortured by the decisions he has to make, the ways he has to manipulate people for the good of the Forelands. During an exchange with Bandon, when he interrupts the ritual at the Skull Kingdom, you get to see this pain rise above the skin, so to speak. It was nice to see Mr. Bennett have the chance to bring more depth to his portrayal. That being said, it really bothers me how much they have powered down Allanon. I get not wanting him to be OP, but having a hard time fighting Bandon, that is not right, people. Allanon is over 500 years old with countless battles behind him against beings like the Warlock Lord and the Dag Tamor. He should have wiped the friggin' floor with Bandon. But, you know, I'm not the writers. Which leads us to my number 1 WTF, what the hell, and that is Shay Omsford. I know this sounds odd, since he isn't really a character in the series, but my god, people, could you just give Shay a break? I was already not excited about what they did with Shay in the first season, making him a miserable drunk who killed himself, abandoning his wife and child. But now they even took his victory over the Warlock Lord away as well. Which sucks, it just sucks. And it doesn't need to be this way. You could have had Bandon follow in the footsteps of Brona, collecting artifacts that were created and used by him to become the new Warlock Lord. Include the Ildach, which is how Brona became the Warlock Lord in the first place. And at this time in this story, it still exists. It's just mind-boggling. I don't know how they are going to justify this in a way that is even remotely satisfying for those of us who read the books, but I am willing to wait and see. But I am not happy. That is it for me and this video. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you like this type of video. It's new for me in the channel. I enjoyed making it though, and focusing in on moments in the episode that I thought were interesting or needed to be unpacked a little bit more, and would like to continue doing that. So let me know if you like it. The next couple of videos coming, I am working on a kind of a deep dive video like I did before, specifically answering a question one of you guys had about the elves and bloodlines and why the Shannara bloodline seems to keep popping up using magic and no one else does. And then I am also going to be working feverishly on the episode 2 video so that it comes out hopefully the day after. So you might end up seeing the episode 2 review video before the deep dive Bloodlines video. It just depends on how quickly each one of those goes. So yeah, thanks for watching, and as always, comment and thumbs up if you like this. Subscribe if you haven't, and let me know if you have any videos you want to see that I haven't done yet. I try to answer every comment, and I read every comment, and I value that, and I'm looking for ideas in there. So please give me any you have. Thanks. Have a good day.